I got 2 questions for you. Question number 1. How are you feeling about those chickens last night? The raw ones that you ate?
Oh, yeah. We did need a recap on that.
You're
I'm
not
fine.
dead. You're not dead.
Yeah,
You're fine.
I'm fine.
Of course. Question number 2.
And that was my favorite part of the meal last night.
Question number 2 is a couple nights ago we got woken up.
Oh, we're going to talk about that?
Can you explain what happened? I think you were the... I can start.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. You just want to tell the whole story? Let's just let you tell the whole story?
I'll tell most
I'm going to
of
get
the
out of
story.
frame. I'm going to get out of frame and everything. Here we go. Go ahead.
Okay. So I went to bed at like 11:30, laid down, fully fell asleep. And when I woke up, I thought, oh gosh, it must be like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I heard like people talking in their rooms, and it sounded like they were getting ready for the day, and they were being surprisingly loud about it, and that annoyed me. So I sat there and I was just like, God, they'll go away soon enough. And they kind of started to get louder and louder, and then I heard them out in the hallway, and I was like, okay, they're going for the elevator, they're gonna leave. And then the screaming started, and I had no idea what to do with the fact that screaming was happening. It didn't make any sense to me what was happening, and the screaming went on for maybe a full minute before I like started nudging you, and you woke up and you're like coming to, and we're both slowly figuring out that the screaming is continuing, and neither of us know why it's happening. And you asked me, you're like, is that a human? Something along those lines, and I said, yeah, it's a human. And we both got up and went out in the hallway. And once we're out in the hallway, we realize it's coming from one of the other rooms, and it's just continuing, and it's a conversation that's being had. It's a bizarre situation. We've stayed in a lot of hotels, and I've never experienced that. So then I tried to call the front desk, and the phone was like stupid. There's no front desk button. There's like a button that said R. I don't know what R means. It's not even a number. And so I got frustrated, took the phone and went downstairs to the front desk. And I'm talking to the guy at the front desk, and I'm like, there's a woman, she's screaming up in 806. I'm standing in front of him looking at him, and he looks surprised about this. But this screaming has been going on for at least 10 minutes. So I'm shocked that 1, nobody called, and 2, there's nobody else down there with me telling him about this shit. Then I can hear her screaming. We were on the 8th floor, and I can hear her screaming at the front desk on the 1st floor. And I just looked at him like, my face, I know it went pale, and I was just like, I can hear her screaming. And you instantly think of all the terrible shit that could be happening in 806. And we walk over to the elevator, me and him together, and he's pressing the button like frantically, looking at me, and I don't know if he's just trying to do that to show me like there's concern, or he's actually concerned. I was standing, the elevator would open here, and if you wanted to exit the building, you'd have to go this way. And I look at where the elevator is. It's on the 8th floor. So whatever drama is happening on that 8th floor is coming down to us now. So I take my positioning and I moved. I moved to the other side where I really couldn't even see into the elevator, and was just like, I'm gonna stand over here because whatever's coming out of that elevator, I don't want to be the first thing it sees. And elevator doors open. I look at the guy to see his reaction. He sees there's somebody on the elevator, and he starts waving me in, like telling me to get on the elevator. He gets on. I peer around. Okay, it's going all right. I get in. There's another lady on the elevator with me, and they converse. I don't know what they say to each other. He turns to me and he goes, "Your room." And he meant that in the way of like, this is the room you're talking about. So I assumed that she was coming down to complain about the same room. At this point, I realized she doesn't have any pants on. And I just thought, she was concerned about the screaming, and she came down as another customer and wanted to go quickly and just didn't put on any pants. Then we stopped on the 4th floor. Don't know why we stopped on the 4th floor. He got out, he knocked on a door, and he came back. He made that seem really normal, as if going to the 4th floor was necessary. While he's gone, the girl on the elevator is talking to me, and I tell her, I can't understand what you're saying to me. Like, I don't know what's happening right now, and it's too overwhelming for me to try and figure out what you're saying. She just kind of continues to talk to me, even though I've already said that I can't understand. We get up to the 8th floor. Door opens. On the floor of the hallway are a pair of pants. I'm assuming it's the pants that are missing from the person next to me. The guy from the front desk goes to her room with one of the cards that can get into any room. He goes into that room, like there's no problem with it. So I'm assuming they've talked to each other and he knows he's allowed to go in there. No Pants Lady gets off and just starts going down the stairs. Where's she going? They say some stuff to each other before she goes down the stairs, and I'm just left standing outside of the elevator going, she doesn't have pants, her pants are there, he's going into her room, but there's nothing going on in there, she's going down the stairs. I'm just gonna go in my room. I don't really understand what's going on. So that was my experience with this whole situation. I went back into the room and that was the end. Nobody explained anything more to us, and we ended up going to sleep with that in mind. We did end up sending the video to a Japanese friend who had it translated in her brain. She did it in her brain. And she said that the calmer person in the recording is saying, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to take you to the hospital. And the screamer is yelling, why do I have to go away? Why do I have to hide? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So this is all the information that we have about that. Later in the day, I went to the front desk and I said, all that craziness last night, what happened? And he said that the person staying there had some mental disturbances and they have checked out, so they won't be there anymore. That's all that we have on that situation. It was intense. It was, I didn't explain that was 1 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't 6 or 7 o'clock. I should have explained that. Yeah, it was 1 o'clock.
The situation was that the screaming was animalistic and barely verbal.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like a cat being ripped apart or something. I don't know how to explain. And it was just madness to wake up to.
It was anger as opposed to fear.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. But it was not just an argument. It was like horrible sounding.
Yeah. And well,
it was disconcerting.
Yeah, it was disconcerting. It was very intense.
Now we're gonna have some food.
Yeah. Saving a very important Kagoshima meal to the very last moment. That is what we do. Black pork, kurobuta, is very, very popular here, to the point that some people will tell you that it is the best in the world. So hopefully that's true, because that's what's on my plate. We've come to like a little restaurant that mainly has counter seating, but they ushered us into a little room of our own, so we're kind of tucked away with our pigs. They've got two special kinds here. I've got a very regular breaded tonkatsu, which is just pork that has been breaded and deep fried. I'm hoping this is going to be amazing, because I am terribly hungry right now. It looks good. When it says that it's black pork, you kind of expect it to be maybe a darker meat, but it's just your standard kind of white pork. That is fantastic. Exceptional. This restaurant has like a 3.5 on Tabedalgu, which is stellar. That's a really, really good rating. And when you look up to purchase kurobuta, a lot of places will charge you about 2,000 yen to get the meal that I have right now. But we came to this place that had the high ratings. We were willing to pay more. Turns out for lunch, which is why this is continued to the last moment, lunch, it's only 1,000 yen for this entire meal, which is crazy cheap. I can't even believe that. And the flavor is way more valuable than what I paid for this. And what did you get?
Mine is the same cut of meat, but it is black in the sense of the outside, the breading that they put onto it is a black breading. And I don't know why it's black. I don't know what makes it different. We kind of have this assumption that this is goma, so it's like a sesame thing, but that's just a really, really raw guess. I don't know. It looks awesome, though. So I'm going to trade Katie one of mine for one of hers. And I want to see what the difference is. This is one of Katie's. The inside meat is identical. The outside of hers is a little bit more crunchy, but I don't detect a really strong flavor difference between the two. It'll be interesting to see what her opinion is. A little bit more about what this special pig is. It's a special pig from Kagoshima, and it is kurabuta in Japanese, but in English they refer to it as a Berkshire pig. So the meat wouldn't be dark, it's more about the outside of the pig being dark. So my dish is more like what the pig would look like if he was walking around in public, as opposed to what they've done with the standard one, like what Katie has. There are also a couple of different sauces here that I have now forgotten which one is which.
Okay,
do you remember?
I can help you.
So this one?
Sesame seed would be your miso.
Okay.
The middle is shio,
Salt.
And the other one is tonkatsu sauce.
Just a tonkatsu sauce. And then another thing that you can do with tonkatsu sauce, and this is what I love about this stuff, is you can put karashi on it. This is like a spicy mustard.
Mine's already open.
And they've given you a little dish of it, so they know what's going on here. So those are like the fixins that you would get. And because there's a lot going on this plate to me that's like interesting, sorry. And then there is a little soup, and the soup is a super, super dark color. I kind of expect it to have a little bit of pork in it. I think it's going to be a pork-based thing, but that's just because of like the restaurant that I'm at. But I'm really intrigued by how dark this soup is. And it's a very thin soup. It's not a thick soup like liquid-wise. It's got a very deep flavor, very like vegetable-y. I'm guessing that there is some miso in there, maybe some sort of like really dark miso, and there are little chunks of meat. They don't have a lot of flavor, but have soaked up the essence of the soup and stuff. I'm blown away that this was 1,000 yen. Like, this is to me extraordinarily high quality. The cost performance here is off the charts for what we're getting.
Automatically, the meat, that it looks a little bit darker than what I was eating. Mine was definitely crunchier. If it is goma, the goma flavor isn't standing out too much. I really don't know why it's black. I prefer my ginger pig.
Alright, we have traded back and forth a couple of pieces, and I'm going to agree with Katie. I think hers is a little bit better. Something about that crunch is nice, and there's something in the flavor of the breading on hers that's a little better. Mine, however, is more unique looking, but maybe that's almost leaning into gimmick territory to get people to come, because I think we saw the black in the book, and I think that looks pretty interesting, and that kind of got us here, which is good, because it's amazing. I mean, even if I hadn't had Katie's, I would still be super impressed. Something that is a little bit tricky when you have this type of meal, especially tonkatsu, I have this problem every time I have it in Japan, is you only have like maybe 8 or 9 pieces, which is enough. I mean, it's totally fine when you mix in all the other things, but then you have a lot of different combinations of sauces and salts that you want to try and like build the best one, but you don't only have so many tries to go through and come up with some like, you know, magical combination.
That's why I go insane on the salad.
You feel okay. And well, what do you mean by that?
I mean that I get salad and then I just put sauce all over the salad. Like I'm salading with the sauce, and I get to enjoy all the sauces.
Well, then you don't get the sauce. I'm trying to like have the best combination to accompany the pig. And what I basically come up with is you take a piece of the pig and you set them down and you get a little bit of salt. And it's kind of a wet salt. It's not like a normal like boring table salt. So it actually sticks to your chopsticks a little bit. So when you pick it up, you can put a little bit of salt on there, just a touch, and then put just a corner into the karashi, so a little bit of spicy mustard. And then I am finding that this miso is like really on point. So get a little corner of that, and then you got a pretty baller combination. It is one of the best things I have eaten on the entire trip that we've been in Kyushu for the last 3 weeks. It is very, very good. And I'm really just, I just can't get over the cost. I'm blown away. Blown away.
I'm gonna eat a lot of salad.
So on our Discord, I was talking to some people this morning about that we were going to be trying this black pig.
Yeah.
And I was kind of down on it because I was like, before having eaten it, of course.
Wait. Describe down. Does down mean like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm down for this?
No.
I'm kind of down.
I wasn't that stoked because I felt like it might just be another one of those things that's just like, hey, this is the thing that's popular in this town, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually going to be good. That just means that for some reason this town has marketed it to have this famous food so that when domestic tourists come, they all eat it and they all try it or whatever. And it's
like Satsumage.
perhaps, yeah.
That place.
That might be one of them. Or just like how every town has got its own ramen, and most of them don't stand out exceptionally from what we can get in Tokyo. And maybe that's just because we live in Tokyo and we have access to like a lot of variety. But this was one of those things that, like, I've eaten good tonkatsu in Tokyo, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. This stood out as like spectacular. It was leagues above it. And
I don't eat tonkatsu very often. I very much enjoyed this.
but yeah, like, so I think that it's one of those things. I wonder why the places in Tokyo can't do it as well. Like, does the pig got to be fresh? I don't know. Like, I don't know why they don't have access to the same stuff.
Piggy,
the blacker the piggy, the most delicious. Yes, it was unbelievably delicious. I am just stunned. And I got a free Coke.
And you got a free Coke. Yeah. Drink bar.
Man, I love this stuff. Like, they'll take like a batter and then they'll put like a bean paste or something inside of it, and sometimes it's shaped like a fish and it's called taiyaki, and sometimes it's shaped like this. I don't know what it's called, I didn't even look. I just thought that they were slinging the stuff in a window back there. And I got one that is made of like a white paste kind of on the inside, like a white bean paste. It's called shiroan. I don't really know what exactly shiroan is. It's probably bean. It's whitish color, custardy looking, and I expect it to be kind of sweet. It is like magma hot. I'm not sure if I can taste anything anymore. Yeah, it's okay, so it's a little bit sweet. It's just like a pancake mix on the outside of it. So it's basically a pancake with like sweet beans on the inside. It was 100 yen, and it was a very well spent 100 yen. It's hard to be disappointed if all you spend is $1, you know what I'm saying? Cool. We are in our final hours of the time that we are spending here in Kyushu. We've been here for 3 weeks now, having done the Nagasaki area and then also doing Kagoshima area. And with our final hours, we didn't have a whole lot planned, so we're just kind of walking around this little shotengai, which is a covered walkway area that a lot of Japanese cities have. This one seems to be pretty big though. It's like a pretty big...
It's quite big, but it is boring.
Yeah, there's
not much going on
We were
here.
like, we'll walk around, we'll talk about things we find that look fun or interesting, and just nothing's really striking us up. It's just like a little shopping area. I think it's kind of interesting how big it is and that it's covered. And my question about that is, does the reason that this is existing like this with the covered walkway in such a wide area exist in Kagoshima specifically because of the ash? And they're trying to keep the ash out of all the shops. And I wonder if that's why they've made such a large one. Because usually they're just like one street in a town or whatever.
And
but
this is
one,
like a network.
Yeah, it's a network. It's a whole lot of stuff. There was also a little shrine in here that was kind of unique. You don't usually see a shrine inside of a shotengai.
Commerce.
Yeah.
Commerce jinja.
Is that what you think that
Yeah.
they're praying to the commerce gods?
They're coming in there. I'm gonna do some good shopping.
And
that was disrespectful.
It was a little disrespectful, a little over the line. And this will be, like I said, the last afternoon that we're going to be here in Kagoshima. And I was going to say, like, what Kagoshima memories stick out from you for the road trip and the time that we spent in the city here?
Being buried was one of my favorite things that has ever happened.
I forgot you
in
did
Japan.
that.
Yeah. That was so cool.
Like a sand onsen or whatever they called it. Yeah, that was.
And I don't know if it was like all you can sand. So I only did it once, but I sat there thinking to myself, I could do this again and again.
It did seem like maybe you were allowed to like get out because they told you could stay in for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
because you get sick.
You were allowed to like relax in there for 10 minutes, but then could I get back in line? They knew who I am because I'm the crazy girl who brought the camera and made them put me in a specific area. So
You're also the white girl they saw that day.
Yeah,
there were some other foreigners, but it's not like a stream
I saw
of
maybe
them.
one other foreigner while I was there, and I was like, I've got my clothes on. You don't get to see. And she had her clothes on too, but I was done. So it's like, I'm finished with the onsen and stuff like that. We will not be naked together.
We had some really good luck in Kagoshima in general with timing. When we pulled around that mountain, we saw all those monkeys coming down off the hill.
Yeah, and the volcano erupting.
And that was probably the standout moment of the entire time I've been in Kyushu, actually.
The volcano?
The volcano.
Oh, they were talking about the monkeys.
Monkeys were cool. Maybe those are number 2
cool.
and number 3. But yeah, seeing that volcano and I don't know if the right word is erupt, but we'll just say it is. Because it wasn't like there was lava blowing out and they weren't evacuating the entire city.
Yeah.
It was just like a bunch of ash had come out, and it's something that doesn't happen at a constant rate.
They said that there was activity daily, but I think that in the grand scheme of things, considering that we've watched that mountain for days and days now, volcano, we haven't seen anything like that. So maybe activity is low right now, or we really did just see like kind of a bit of activity.
We got lucky because we were on the correct side of the volcano on a day where the sky was super blue. Like the whole thing was just like, it was unbelievable. I'll remember that for a long time. It's like going to be deeply burned into my mind.
The kamikazes and kaimon were big for me. That was an eye-opening discovery of something that people would keep. I didn't think they were going to keep all those letters, and associating that with a geographical landmark that I can see and think about and conjure up my own thoughts. It was...
Keihan being that mountain that they said goodbye to before they flew to Okinawa to die.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's going to be really stuck in my head.
In general, I've been really impressed just with Kagoshima. The geography of Kagoshima is like something that would be created for a story. Like it feels like something like Middle Earth or something like that. Somebody got a map out and was like, how can I make interesting geography, and how the bay is wrapped around this volcano that's actually active and actually erupting, and then you've got the southernmost tip of the mainland part of Japan, and it just seems like a faraway land that's like in a fantasy world. And there's just something about the entire part of Kagoshima that I think is really distinct and sticks out. Even having been to a lot of parts of Japan, this is just really, it feels very special here.
Yes.
And I've heard a lot of people say that it's part of their, some people say that it's their favorite area of Japan, and I can see how that could be
it's very high on my list. I'd have to actually like make my list of what I've seen to put it in, but yeah, this would be up on the list. Like if somebody told me, oh, you've got to go to Kagoshima for work. Oh, okay, sounds good. Yeah, let's go.
There's just something distinctly enchanting about this prefecture, and I've thought it's been really cool. I just really enjoy driving around the bay and going over on the boat, and I just like the water in the middle. I think is mostly what it is, and the exploding volcano. I don't know. I'm just enchanted.
And then our luck with the ferry was good too. I could go on. Yeah, Kagoshima's good. They know that I just tasted the sweet potato, so they want to tell me more about it. You should try it, it's quite good. Kagoshima has like the airport has like tons and tons of, you can try it, you can try it, you can try it. And I'm finding much better satsuma age than I found at wherever we were last night at the yatai. Oh yeah, that's way better. Oh, texture, the consistency, the toughness, and I don't think it should be super tough, but it shouldn't be like the world's thinnest fish paste. There was one more thing that we needed to do, and we had to do it at the airport. We asked about a special type of food called Keihan, and basically everyone said go to the airport. Why would anyone go to the airport for food? Is there not a place in Kagoshima that could provide this for us?
This is
It's
apparently
not.
from an island or something, so it's not from the city.
Okay.
But this place happens to just do it. So.
All right. Well, we've come to this restaurant inside the airport that does kind of like a Viking or buffet style Keihan. And Keihan kind of seems to be a rice, lots of toppings, with a chicken kind of soup on top. We've never had it before, so we're gonna make it ourselves. Kind of strange to try something for the first time like that, but we're gonna hop in and make our disasters, and then we'll taste them.
Okay, so Keihan, the kanji basically means chicken rice. And chicken rice in my head is a dish that is not from Japan at all. Chicken rice is a dish that's from Southeast Asia, and this is absolutely completely different than that. I don't really know a whole lot about this. The only reason I know what it is because I googled Kagoshima specialities, and this is one of the things that came up. And like after digging and digging and digging, like Katie said, we ended up at the airport. It's very strange. But the dish is also a little bit peculiar because it's kind of like a mix between a soup and like a donburi. Because you put rice in and then toppings, and then you pour a bunch of soup inside. I feel like I didn't really know how much soup to put in. I didn't know if it was supposed to be wet or if it's supposed to be like just like a little bit of the essence or anything. So I just kind of poured some liquid in there. It was kind of unclear. And there's other people that are going up to this that are kind of like, they're clearly not from Kagoshima, and they're like, what do we do next? Like they don't know either. So it's it's quite an experience. The thing that I'm most excited about is this guy right here. There's some wasabi involved. I'm not sure.
I've already had it, and it's not powerful.
Not powerful wasabi. All right. So I can deal with that. But the thing is like now my rice is super soggy. I think I might have put too much soup in, but I get the impression that it's just like you're supposed to just choose ever how much you want. Okay. So on the top here is chicken. And dude, it's like grandma's chicken soup. It's really moist. There's a lot of flavor in it. And that was in the soup and had been boiling there, or stewing in the soup with it. And then we've got a bunch of different stuff. We got some egg. We've got some like shoga, like ginger, and then like pickled maybe mushrooms or something like that. Bamboo shoots or something.
They're mushrooms. I don't believe they're pickled.
They're
Stewed.
not. They're very sweet. And there's a ton of flavor. It's explosively flavorful. And then more maybe pickled things. Yeah, pickled stuffs. Yeah, this is fascinating. I'm going to look for this dish in Tokyo because it is so unique and just, I've never seen anything quite like this before in Japan. But now I'm looking around the utensils they gave me. I have no spoon. I have a lot of water in here. I know I can drink it.
Soup.
Oh, is there spoons up there? I'll have to go get a spoon. That was like, maybe that tipped me off that I put too much in. But yeah, I'll need a spoon to figure out. Let me see if I can just taste some soup. Oh my God, the soup is the soup and the chicken are what is pulling this whole thing together. That is astonishingly good, and I think it was like 500 yen or something. So it's like silly cheap. And I can just go up and get as much as you want. I'm astonished. It's really good. We've had a very good culinary day today.
I made mine just like the picture. I might have gone a little heavy on the nori, but the nori is sweet. I mean, I just can't believe that. So I kind of had to put more than I thought I was supposed to because I want to enjoy that. I don't know where to get that, how they're doing that. I want to enjoy that. But the day is finally finished. We'll be getting on an airplane and going home very soon. We've got our last shochus that we will have here in Kagoshima.
These aren't like, you're talking like we've been drinking shochu the whole time. This is literally the second and third ones we've had the entire time. And these are also supposed to be like a potato-based shochu. And mine is called Sakurajima.
And mine is called Tenmonkan.
Which is where we had been staying in Kagoshima City.
Yeah.
So we've got my favorite mountain and where we were last staying.
And the ghetto.
Yeah, it was a little, I wouldn't know if it was ghetto. It was a little bit rough on the elbows.
I'm hoping it's like that. I want it to be a little bit gritty. I want it to be a little bit like there's a pachinko.
It was more Osaka than Tokyo.
It was more Osaka, and I'm definitely an Osaka girl.
Okay. So what is this? Oh, just to Kagoshima. That's really easy, right?
To Kagoshima.
All right. It is. I mean, it's shochu. It's just alcohol. You know what I mean?
Mine's better.
I like mine better.
Good.
That works out good. Yours is stronger.
A little grittier.
Yikes.
Tenmongan.
These were only 300 yen a piece, by the way, which
Yeah.
is a bit silly.
So we've got Viking, alcohol,
And airplanes.
And airplanes. How many times have you said fuck in like the last 15 minutes?
It's really, really good. And it's like the wasabi, I just stirred it all in, and the wasabi is just like kicking around a little bit, and the whole thing is just like a complete disaster of delicious. I am so happy about this food. We gotta figure out how to make this at home, find a place that's near our place, something like that. This gotta be in my life.
Thanks to everyone at Patreon for your support, allowing us to make this video series about Kyushu. It was over 9 hours. Next up, we have a series about the countryside treasures of Shikoku, Japan's smallest main island. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.